So now that we're rapidly closing in on the end of summer, it's a good time to take a look at some knives that we should have bought maybe at the beginning of summer. At least those are the questions I'm going to answer today on this episode of Knife AQ, episode 179 of the series, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Let's get into it.
Just wait till May to watch this.
Thomas brings up a good point. You could just wait till next year and watch this. No, you're here. Stick around. I'm David C. Anderson, coming at you from the Knife Center. That is Thomas behind the camera. Welcome. If you're new to this series, the deal is we take your questions from the comment section below these videos. So if you've got a question and you think it merits inclusion in a future episode, drop it down below and it'll have a shot. First question today is from Max Long. I'm going to be taking a week's vacation and working at a summer camp as a counselor. Good for you, man. Looking for a cheap and light knife to pick up for the occasion. I've had a K-Bar Dozier but lost it. Something similar to that. Any recommendations? Thanks. Hopefully this is not too late for your summer camping needs, but it probably is. I apologize for that. But we're
fun in the fall anyway.
Camping season for me, yeah, it doesn't start until September. Wraps up the following spring. I don't like camping in the summer. Love camping, but not in the summer.
Less sweaty.
Yes, far less. Fewer sweats. So here is the K-Bar Dozier you mentioned. You could upgrade to the new D2 version that is out. I say new, it's a couple years old at this point. These can be had for about $39 right now. You got a great versatile spear point blade. Does just about anything you'd want a small pocket knife to do in general purpose scenarios. Hollow ground with D2 for better edge retention than the AUS 8 versions. And a lightweight, neutral handle that can fit even large hands needing big grips on a knife like this, which is a pretty cool thing actually. Lockback, perfectly ambidextrous. The thumb stud is single-sided, but it is reversible, and the clip is reversible too. So you could work well for lefties. There's another knife on the market that I consider kind of a spiritual peer to the Dozier series, and that's the 112 Slim Select series from Buck, the 112 Ranger. This is about $32, made in the USA with a 420HC blade. Similarly, about 3 inches in length, kind of a straight clip point, and maybe slightly less neutral on the handle, but still fairly neutral. Reversible clip, dual thumb studs, lockback, a little bit more finger guard protection than the Dozier provides, however, and that could be a nice thing. Plus, it's a buck knife. There's something classic about a buck knife at a camp counselor or at any kind of camp scenario that is quite nice. If you'd rather go kind of more modern feeling or more, more modern feeling, we can just leave it at that because that rounds it up nicely. What does the Dozier do? 3-inch versatile drop point blade, neutral style handle. So that's going to be what lets me show you these two knives. The first being the small feldspar from CJRB. Comes with D2 and actually about $35 right now. So it actually undercuts the Dozier in price. It is a little more compact, as you can see, but the materials feel a bit nicer. Steel's the same though. You got D2 here with a stone washed finish, high flat grind instead of the hollow grind on the Dozier. Thin enough, it's gonna be a very slicey thing. A little bit less belly. Like if you think you might need that belly for like slicey or even skinning types of tasks, this might not give you quite as much as the Dozier would. The handles in G10 are quite nice. A little bit shorter than the Dozier, again, as mentioned. Looks a lot shorter there in comparison, but still something that should fit any hand size pretty well thanks to the neutral teardrop shape. And you can always choke up on it and get a pretty solid, hefty grip on it. At least I can with my slightly larger than average hands. Not quite as ambidextrous because you've got a lockback here, a liner lock here instead of a lockback, but you've got ball bearings in the pivot, which flicks quite nicely. Yeah, it's gonna be a little more susceptible to dirt and grit and some things you might encounter in a camping scenario, but you did say it's kind of a week's vacation. So see how much that matters to you. You can certainly keep one of these clean well enough. It's not a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. And then the other one, similar, the Elementum. Again, 3-inch blade, D2. You do have a hollow grind like you do have on the Dozier. These are about $50 right now. Here you can see the size comparison. Slightly less sharpened edge than the Dozier and slightly less handle, as you can see. But just like the CJRB, you can choke up on it a little bit and get a really meaty grip on the knife. What else? liner lock, reversible clip, ball bearings, kind of the same script as with the CJRB, except in this place you've got a flipper instead of the thumb studs. And you've got flat G10 scales instead of the contour, but both are pretty comfortable. And both are great, all of these are great general purpose small knives that I don't think would be out of place in a camp situation. Hope that helps. Simon says...
What's he say?
Oh, I guess I have to read it, huh?
Yes.
ADCA. Going on a multi-week canoe expedition in the wild north next summer. We're in time on this one.
Unless that was last year.
Unless this was saved from last year. I don't think it was. And I am looking for the perfect, indestructible, and cool-looking fixed blade, primarily for making fire. Works with a ferro rod, batoning, chopping small branches. I like a leather sheath worn with a dangler, but it must be solid because I expect many a spill in the frigid white waters of the north. Anything that fits this description below 300? Sure. Well, indestructible, you saw me wave it away there. We're gonna have to remove that word because everything, if you try hard enough, can be destroyed, of course. But I'm going to show you some tough options. I do question the wisdom of going with a leather sheath if you are indeed expecting to be submerged with this knife. But I will show you something here, and then I'll show you another alternate that does not use a leather sheath. But the dangler is probably a really astute requirement there, especially getting in and out of a canoe. That's going to be very nice for keeping the knife from kind of getting in your way, getting in its own way as you're climbing aboard that small craft there. So good choice. For the leather sheathed option, I'm going to keep you well under budget here, quite honestly, on this. The Joker Nomad. Here you go. Comes in about $153 right now. You've got an N695 blade, which is not a super steel, but it is certainly very capable. And check out the thickness you've got here. That is, gosh, what is that? That's not quite a 1/4 inch, but it's more than 3/16. So yeah, 0.2 inches. So micrometers aren't fully off. So yeah, 0.2 inch thick blade. You've got plenty of strength right there, especially with plenty of full thickness spine left intact. And this handles agilely enough that you can do carving, you can do bushcrafty and survival stuff, making feather sticks, carving tinder, that sort of thing. But when you say chopping light branch, or what'd you say, light branches or medium branches? Small branches, perfect. You don't need a big chopper to do small branch stuff. And you can choke back a little bit on this. You've got a really good grip from the micarta. Micarta is a great choice handle material-wise for this type of thing too, because it feels a little tackier when wet. You could always go with rubber-handled stuff too, but I didn't like the options in terms of the rest of the blade and sheath systems for you. So I ruled a lot of those out, but great feel there. You can certainly hack through some small branches. And the edge itself on this knife is convexed, just like an axe. So it's built to withstand kind of hard, choppy use like that. So another good point in favor of the Nomad. And it's got plenty of spaces where you could strike a fire steel. You talked about scraping for fire, working with a ferro rod. Right here on the jimping especially, that's going to work really nicely. This particular one's a little bit softer here on the smooth portion of the spine, but it's borderline, it might work. But it is crisp enough here on the protruding pommel that you get right there. I think this would be a really good choice for a knife. One other cool thing about the Joker is it actually comes, this one comes with an extra piece of gear that you may not have to buy if you don't have one already. Actually comes with a pretty handy signaling mirror right here with appropriate aimers right here. Let's see, is there anything bright enough in here I can get Thomas? I don't know. Let's do the thing. Nope, I'm not picking. Oh, wait. Never mind. Not quite enough. The light is a little too diffuse in here for me to be obnoxious. I could be obnoxious other ways, though.
Oh, can you?
We'll find the ways. The sheath, as I mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of leather in this situation, but it can be done if you insist. It does not come with a dangler right out of the box, but that's an easy fix for not a lot of money, like $21 and some change for one of these Castrum dangler attachments. You can pop that on there and you've got the flexibility you need from a system like that. The other thing I would encourage you to at least check out to see what you think is the White River Firecraft series, the FC5 and the FC7 specifically. I wish we had a 7 here on the table, but we didn't have one on filming day, so I do have the 5 here. The The 5 may be a little bit on the short side for chopping stuff, but you can, because you've got 3 holes here in the handle, you could add a lanyard here to the middle hole to do that kind of wrist lanyard. What's the word? The forward lanyard thing, but I can't call it a forward lanyard because it's in the middle. But create a loop, bring your hand down through it and in. You get a little more leverage out of it, or wait for the 7-inch one to come back in stock. S35 VN steel, good toughness. Maybe not quite as tough as the N695, although it should be pretty darn good. Definitely more edge retention with this as well. And micarta handles again, great choice for wet weather. Before I get to the rest of the features, check out the sheath. It is Kydex. That's going to be a lot better, in my opinion, for wet environments, for being submerged for one, but you still have a dangler loop here at the back. Very nice. As far as the hold in the knife, or in the sheath, if you wanted to increase it, it is just a simple click in. If you're worried about that, you could always add a nut and bolt right here to tighten things up. And you could always do, if you have that center lanyard going, you could always wrap it around or attach it somehow as well to give you more to go. And you have a ferro rod with this one built in too, which is good. Great thing for wet use. It works even when after it's been submerged, unlike non-waterproof matches or a Bic lighter or something like that. What else? You've also got the cap here to use it as a bearing block and a primitive bow drill fire. You've got a great shape for all-around use, especially all-around camp use. Prices on these do get a bit higher. We're about $290 for the FC5, and the FC7 does go over your $300 budget a little bit, $330. So not too much. Like I said, I wanted to mention it. If you insist on a leather sheath, go forth with the Joker and be happy, but think about Kydex. Hope that helps. Next question comes from Cody Overholzer. Question: I'm in a wheelchair, so I prefer to carry a neck knife because I've had pocket clips catch on the spokes of my wheel before. I currently use a CRKT Minimalist, but would like something with a better edge retention. I've tried the D2 version of the Minimalist, but I live really close to the ocean and it gets warm in the summer, so rust was killing me. Any suggestions? Sure, I do have an option for you here. Actually, several options for you. You could go with a Minimalist. They make a 154 cm version of the Minimalist now. Not a super steel, but more edge retention than the 5 or 9 CR series stainlesses that the base Minimalists use. It comes in about $100 right now. The sheath, interestingly, however, does not come set up for neck carry. Did I not get it out of the box? I might not have gotten it out of the box, but it has a small leather belt sheath, actually. So you may have to get a little creative if you want to carry this neck style. But I do have some more options here for you. The kind of calling card of the Minimalist are these aggressive finger grooves, so that even though it's a small knife, you've got a ton of purchase and a ton of security in your grip on this knife. So I wanted to show some things that kind of get you something similar to that. The first one, the Beg Knives Tree Frog, comes in about $60. Here it is. No handle scales here, just a flat piece of steel of AUS 10 steel. So again, nice upgrade in edge retention from your 5 CR or 8 CR series steel. And you didn't mention which blade shape you had in the Minimalist, but I usually by default think of the Wharncliffe blade when I think of the Minimalist, so this would be something along those lines. And about $60 for this too, with something that gets really good edge retention compared to those steels. And a pretty cool shape. Where is the sheath? Is this one it? This one's it. There you go. Nice, simple neck knife sheath. And you've got some aggressive finger grooves there to keep your retention going. Likewise, the Bastinelli BB Drago V2 in this case. This one's on sale right now for $162 at the time we're filming this. You've got a 2-inch N690 blade and really nice handles on this one. It's a black G10 with some contouring, with those finger grooves and the fob hanging off the back to increase the length of your grip, and a nice aggressive Wharncliffe shape. I like this one a lot. That could be a really good option for you. Sheath actually comes with an attachment loop here that you could carry some other way than neck carry, but very easily neck carry. Just take that off, throw your neck attachment of choice on there. Next one, going a little bit outside the direct finger groove comparison, but something that is likewise going to give you a good amount of purchase on that small knife, the Kaiser Variable, Dirk Pinkerton design. 154 cm bladed version of this coming in at $69 with
Yes.
Thomas's favorite blade shape, although it says Wharncliffe on here, so
Nice.
You have a couple of slim slabs of carbon fiber right there, and that index finger hole, that's going to be a very secure grip on this knife. Not likely to slide forward, not likely to lose your grip, maybe even less likely than the CRKT in terms of the losing your grip status. I think it's a pretty cool shape too. Sheath on this one, did I not take the sheath out on the box on this one either? It's Kydex, it's simple. It's neck carryable. There you go. I must not have. Huh. Sorry, one more to show you. This one of the options I'm showing you here is probably gonna have the best edge retention, and the price is actually pretty reasonable for it too, and that's the K-Bar Snowdy Snake Charmer in S35VN, coming in about $78 right now. 2¼ inch blade, high hollow grind, stone washed finish, some finger grooviness, and an index or a pinky ring in this case, at least for standard cutting tasks. Lots of retention and stability in your grip on this knife as well. And the sheath is definitely a neck sheath and nothing but. There you go. Green plastic, easy enough to get it in and out. It'll do the job for you. Hope that helps. Next question starts our lightning round for today, and it comes from Jake Hoover. With it getting closer to summer,
Sorry.
are there any ultralight EDC knives you'd recommend for athletic shorts pockets? $75 and under, maybe? Thanks and God bless. We actually do have an ultralight folding knife video you could check out. That has some good options. We've got some good options already earlier in this video. The Dozier series, great. You might want to go with stainless instead of the D2, potentially. The series right here, the 112, it's great. Above budget, the Bug Out, the Hogue Deca, the Native 5 lightweights from Spyderco could all be good options. But you did say 75 and under, and I'm gonna take this opportunity to just show a knife that I don't think gets quite enough love that I happen to like a lot. Spyderco Urban Lightweight. Just over $70, N690 blade steel. We got a lot of N690 on the table today, it's interesting. Wire pocket clip, not the lightest of lightweight knives because you do have a full-length back spring because this is a non-locking knife, but you do have safety because of that signature Spyderco finger choil design element. I like this knife a lot. I have one, or I had one before I lost it. I just wanted to hold one again. So that's why I put it on this video. Lots of good options to choose from. Check out any of those that I just mentioned. Next question comes from Drake Anderson. Hello DCA and team, I have a tough one for you. I recently moved to the beach and I am having issues with the knives I typically carry. Every few days I have to take apart my knives to clean them because no matter what I do, fine pieces of sand find their way into the inner workings of the knife and make my fidgeting horribly unsatisfying. I need your help finding a very corrosion resistant, sand-proof / easy to clean, left-hand friendly knife. Dang it, I forgot the left-hand friendly. Ugh. I can work with this. I'm a huge fan of classy and fidgety folders, but I am open to anything you feel fits my needs. No particular budget, but nothing too crazy. Thank you and keep up the good work. Well, I feel frustrated because I for some reason I never clocked the left-hand friendly until I'm reading it right now. But the point stands, there's no such thing that I can think of as a folding knife that is going to be sand-proof. You can only mitigate it somewhat. I was gonna say, the CRKT Slacker could be a good option. It's not a lefty-friendly knife, however. Stainless steel, simple stainless steel. I mean, 4116. These are like $28 right now. And the reason I like to suggest this is it's slim and classy, like you mentioned, and they're super easy to take apart. So if you're gonna have to take apart your knife, should I do this right there? There we go. To clean it every few days, you can at least make it real easy, and you don't have to use any tools to do it. So that, I truly think, would be a good option if the left-hand friendliness is not important to you. And of course the thumb wheel is stuck on me now that I'm doing this. There we go. I told you it was easy. And fidget friendly. I do have a secondary option here that is left-hand friendly. It's maybe not the classiest thing in the world, and that is the Hogue Deca. I just mentioned it a few minutes ago, or a minute or so ago. The best you can do is mitigate. Something like this has open-backed flow-through construction. That's easy enough to clean. You've got washers in the pivot instead of ball bearings. That's a little better for dust and that sort of thing. You've got a design that can kind of be lubricated and blown out if it does get a little bit gritty, and you may not have to disassemble it quite as often. Definitely a bit more tactical looking, but it'll look good on the beach, I think. So, hope that helps. Sorry for missing the left-hand friendliness on the first one, but the Hogue will achieve that.
I say fixed blade karambit.
I say, like, truly the answer is if you want something that is, you know, fidget friendly, actually, he mentioned. Karambit, yeah. Fixed blade karambit. Fixed blade's gonna be sandproof, and you could be that guy on the beach. Don't be that guy on the beach.
We'll leave you alone.
Until they don't. The flashing lights will come get you. Well, now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most serious question of the day, which comes from Cush Viper. Serious question. I like to do my yard work shirtless while wearing my Daisy Duke denim hot pants and my rope belt. What is the best fixed blade / belt knife to complete my look that would still be useful around the yard? Well, an outfit like that leaves just about nothing to the imagination, so we need knife handles that are just as revealing, such as everyone's favorite Ultim. Some have described this as being perhaps urine colored, especially if you're working out in the yard and not hydrating well enough. This is going to be a nice matching color, and you can see the tang through these handles. Quite a revealing thing. And this is the Civivi Propagnator, I should mention that. 89 bucks, and I would use that around the yard.
Excuse me while I poke out my mind's eye.
Hope that helps. Well, that's all the questions we have for today. Keep leaving them down in the comments. Keep throwing your most serious questions down there as well. Let me know what you thought of the answers. If you've got some alternate suggestions, you can leave those down below. And if you want to get your hands on any of these knives or products, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. While you're there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program either, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives this summer is give you some free money to spend on your next knife next summer. Or before that if you want. I am David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.